I was born chill. When my younger siblings fought over milk, I sat calmly on the side. Live or die, whatever. When we grew up, my sister snatched the better marriage proposal first, leaving me to marry the allegedly bankrupt heir. Adrian Sterling. I nodded, okay. As long as he's human, I'm good. Later, Adrian staged a comeback and became the richest man in the city. The envy of everyone. My sister came to me, hoping to swap husbands so she could be Mrs. Sterling. Just as I was about to nod and agree, Adrian stepped forward and covered my mouth. That's not happening. Me? It could happen, Adrian. It really, really can't. When we were kids, if my brother and sister brawled over the last bottle of juice, I just watched. It wasn't that I didn't want it. I just felt that getting it was fine and not getting it was also fine. It's just juice. Once it's gone, it's gone. Mom always said I had no temper. Dad said my go-with-the-flow attitude was heartbreaking. But they soon realized my personality was actually quite convenient. Since I didn't fight for anything, they could just give the best stuff to my siblings. Gradually, heartbreaking became matter of course. The best room went to my sister, Bella. Because girls need to be pampered. The expensive private tutors went to my brother. Because boys need to succeed. As for me, Jane, I got the smallest north-facing room and went to public school. He won't mind, Mom said every time. I really didn't mind. I didn't take it to heart at all. At 23, I graduated and got a clerical job at a standard company. With an average salary. My life was ripple-free. Bella, 2 years younger, had just returned from studying abroad and was waiting to be married off. At night, our parents called us to the living room. 2 portfolios lay on the coffee table. Dad cleared his throat. You're both at the age to marry. These 2 young men are suitable candidates. I picked up one, Adrian Sterling, 28. Heir to Sterling Group. The man in the photo had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. And outstanding aura. The file noted. Sterling Group has recently suffered from mismanagement and has filed for bankruptcy restructuring. The other was Liam Cole, the only son of the wealthy Cole family. Solid foundation, assets in the billions. Bella picks first, Mom said, looking at my sister as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Bella didn't even glance at Adrian's file. She grabbed Liam's immediately. I want the Cole family. She turned to me. Eyes gleamed with triumph and entitlement. Jane, you marry Adrian. You're not picky. Anyway. I looked at Adrian's photo. Okay. Mom let out a sigh of relief. Jane is so sensible. Although Adrian is down on his luck, he's still a Sterling. He's more than good enough for you. Dad nodded, too. It's settled then, marriage is marriage. Just living life. Besides, truthfully, the man in the photo was quite handsome. From that day on, the house was in wedding mode. Bella's wedding was set for 3 months later. 50 tables at the city's finest 5-star hotel. Mom was busy every day picking dresses, jewelry and decor, spinning like a top. My wedding was set for a week after Bella's. 10 tables at a regular restaurant. Mom said, since the Sterling family doesn't have many people left, let's keep it simple. I nodded, okay. Then came the dowry preparation. Truckloads of goods moved out for Bella. Designer bags, jewelry, antique vases, the latest appliances. And a check for $500,000 Mom prepared specifically for her. If the dowry is light, the Cole family will look down on us, Mom said, while directing the movers. We can't lose face for me. Mom prepared 2 suitcases. One for clothes, one for daily necessities. And a modest set of silver jewelry. I looked at the 2 thin suitcases and said, nothing. Mom probably felt a twinge of guilt and explained. Jane, you're marrying a bankrupt man. Adrian has nothing now. It's his blessing to marry you at all. He wouldn't dare complain about a small dowry. He should be grateful, Dad added. Your sister is different. The Coles are old money. We can't let them underestimate us. You should understand. I know growing up. Bella got the best because she had to marry well. It didn't matter for me because I didn't care. Caring was useless. This logic had run smoothly in our family for over 20 years. Like a precise machine. The night before the wedding, Bella came to my room, leaning against the door frame as I packed. Jane, don't you feel shortchanged? She asked. Shortchanged? How I folded clothes without looking up. Marrying a bankrupt guy, she smirked. I couldn't handle it. You don't have to. You're marrying Liam. True. She nodded with satisfaction. But don't be too sad. I heard Adrian is a decent guy. At least he won't treat you badly. I looked up at her. You're right. She paused, probably surprised by my calmness. Found it boring, shrugged and left. I continued packing, thinking I'm getting married tomorrow. Marrying a man I've never met. Starting a completely strange life. Sounds kind of interesting. It drizzled on my wedding day. Bella's wedding a week ago was star-studded and lively. I went to help watching her in a gown wearing the family jade heirloom. Holding Liam's arm, face full of happiness. For my wedding, hardly anyone came. Only a few distant relatives from the Sterling side showed up. My side of the family said they weren't feeling well and didn't come. Only a few colleagues I got along with came to support me. I wore the dress Mom prepared. A simple white dress, no veil. The makeup artist was recommended by the restaurant owner. Average skills gave me a light look. I looked in the mirror and thought I looked pretty good. The ceremony was simple. No MC. No flower girl, no complex procedures. Adrian and I exchanged rings under the witness of friends and family. Simple silver rings, probably a few $100s. I saw Adrian in person for the first time. He was taller and thinner than in the photo. He wore a suit that had been washed until it was slightly faded. But his tie was meticulous. His hair neat. There was awkwardness in his eyes. But he tried hard to maintain his dignity. His look was complex, apologetic. Yet inquiring. I'm sorry. He whispered, as we exchanged rings. For making you marry someone like me. I looked at him. This man had beautiful eyes. Even in poverty, his inherent grace couldn't be hidden. It's okay. I don't care anyway. He paused, then chuckled softly. A smile mixed with indescribable bitterness. After the brief ceremony, we cut the cake. Toasted and collected the few red envelopes. Then Adrian said to me, let's go home. Home. The word sounded a bit unfamiliar. Our new home was an old apartment on the outskirts of the city. 6th floor, no elevator. I followed, listening to his heavy footsteps. He looked back at me, guilt in his eyes. Sorry for making you live in a place like this. I looked around. It's fine. At least it's quiet, smiled and opened the door. The apartment was small, about 600 square feet. One bedroom, but it was very clean. Simple furniture, clean curtains. Freshly washed sheets drying on the balcony. I spent yesterday cleaning. I said shyly. Hope you can get used to it. I looked at this small space and felt it was cozy. I will. He put the suitcases in the bedroom. Then took a stack of crumpled bills from his pocket. And placed them in my hand. This is everything I have right now. $3,000. I'm starting as a delivery driver tomorrow. I should be able to make some money. I'll support you. I took the bills. Still warm, from his hand. They were smoothed out carefully. Old but clean. You keep this money if you give it all to me. What if you need cash while you're out working? I pushed the money back, my gaze frank without a shred of disdain. You don't despise me? He asked, eyes holding a cautious hope. No, as long as we can survive. Complex emotion flashed in his eyes, turning into a light sigh. You really are. He didn't finish, but I knew what he meant. Probably thought I was too easy to fool. That night, we had a simple dinner. He cooked noodles with 2 eggs. I'm not a good cook. Just make do. It's tasty. I genuinely thought so. The plain noodles tasted like home. After dinner, he volunteered to wash the dishes. I sat on the sofa watching his busy back in the kitchen, and suddenly felt that this life wasn't bad. At bedtime, he gentlemanly offered to sleep on the sofa. It's okay. The bed is big enough. Let's sleep together. My understanding of sleeping together was literally just closing eyes and sleeping. He hesitated for a long time, but chose the sofa. Let's wait until you're used to it. Lying in bed, seeing his figure curled up on the sofa through the half-open door, I felt something indescribable. This man seemed better than I imagined. The morning sun filtered through the thin curtains of our modest apartment, casting pale golden strips across the worn wooden floor. I woke to the sound of running water. Adrian was already up, preparing for his first day as a delivery driver. The bathroom door stood slightly ajar, and through the gap, I could see him carefully combing his hair, the same meticulous attention he'd given to his tie at our wedding. I lay still for a moment, studying the unfamiliar ceiling. Marriage. The word still felt foreign on my tongue, like a language I was learning phonetically without understanding its deeper meaning. Yet there was something unexpectedly peaceful about waking up knowing someone else existed in my immediate orbit, sharing this small space, this fragment of life. You're awake. Adrian's voice startled me. He stood in the doorway, already dressed in the red and yellow uniform of Quick Deliver Express. The bright colors looked almost comical against his refined features, like dressing a thoroughbred horse in carnival decorations. I made breakfast. It's just toast and instant coffee. I'm sorry it's not much. It's perfect, I said, sitting up. And I meant it. The apartment smelled of burnt bread. He'd clearly misjudged the toaster settings, but there was something endearing about the effort. We ate in companionable silence, sitting across from each other at the small folding table that served as our dining area. Adrian checked his phone repeatedly, nervous energy radiating from him in waves. The app shows my first delivery zone, he explained, though I hadn't asked. Downtown business district. Should be busy. He paused, then added quietly, I'll make this work, Jane. I promise I'll give you a better life. I looked at him over the rim of my coffee cup, chipped porcelain, probably from a thrift store. His jaw was set with determination, but his hands trembled slightly as they gripped his phone. This man who'd once commanded boardrooms and signed million-dollar contracts was now anxious about delivering lunch orders. Adrian, I said, and he looked up, those beautiful eyes meeting mine. You don't owe me a better life. This one is fine. Something flickered across his face, disbelief, perhaps, or relief. He opened his mouth to respond, but his phone buzzed with an incoming order. The moment passed. I should go, he said, standing abruptly. At the door, he hesitated, turning back with an expression I couldn't quite read. Thank you, Jane. For being you. Then he was gone, his footsteps echoing down the stairwell. The days developed a rhythm. Adrian left before dawn and returned after dark, exhausted and smelling of gasoline and various takeout foods. I found work at a small accounting firm nearby, nothing glamorous, just data entry and filing, but it paid enough to cover groceries and utilities. We moved around each other like planets in distant orbits, polite and careful, never quite colliding. 3 weeks into our marriage, my phone rang. Mom. Jane, how are you managing? Her voice carried that particular tone of obligatory concern, the kind that expected reassurance rather than honesty. "Fine, Mom. Everything's fine." "That's good, dear. Listen, Bella's having a dinner party next Saturday. The Coles are hosting. You should come. Bring Adrian if he's available." The pause before available spoke volumes. I could picture her expression, that slight wrinkle of distaste, as if she'd bitten into fruit and found it unripe. "I'll check with Adrian." "Well, don't pressure him if he's busy. I'm sure delivering food is very time-consuming." The condescension dripped like honey, sweet and suffocating. "Bella's doing wonderfully, by the way. Liam just bought her a sports car. A red one. Very expensive." "That's nice." "Yes, well. Some of us marry up, and some marry, practically." "But you never minded, did you?" "No, Mom. I never minded." After we hung up, I sat on the sofa, staring at my phone. The apartment was silent except for the distant hum of traffic and the neighbor's television through the thin walls. I thought about Bella in her sports car, her designer clothes, her spacious home in the gated community. Did I envy her? I examined my feelings like one might examine an unusual stone, turning it over, looking for facets that might catch the light. But there was nothing. No jealousy, no regret. Just the same mild contentment that had always characterized my existence. When Adrian came home that night, I told him about the dinner party. "You don't have to go," he said immediately, his face tightening. "I know it'll be uncomfortable." "I don't mind going." "But you don't have to come if you don't want to." He was quiet for a long moment, pulling off his delivery uniform with slow, deliberate movements. "I'll go," he said finally. "You're my wife. We should face things together." The word wife sounded strange in his voice, weighted with meanings I couldn't decipher. The Cole mansion sat behind iron gates like a fortress of wealth. As our taxi pulled up, we couldn't afford a car. I saw Adrian's jaw tighten. He'd borrowed a suit from somewhere, better than his wedding outfit but still obviously second-hand. It hung slightly loose on his frame, he'd lost weight these past weeks. "We can still leave," I offered. "No." His voice was firm. "Let's go in." Bella answered the door in a shimmering cocktail dress that probably cost more than our monthly rent. Her eyes swept over us, Adrian's borrowed suit, my simple department store dress, with barely concealed satisfaction. "Jane. You made it." "And Adrian, how nice to see you." She air-kissed my cheeks, her perfume overwhelming. Come in, come in." Everyone's in the living room." Everyone turned out to be about 20 people, all draped in obvious wealth. Mom and Dad were there, along with my brother and several family friends I vaguely recognized. The living room could have swallowed our entire apartment twice over. Liam Cole emerged from the crowd, all white teeth and practiced charm. "Jane. The mysterious sister. Bella talks about you constantly." He shook Adrian's hand with the grip of someone proving something. "Sterling. Heard you're in the delivery business now. Entrepreneurial. I respect that." The patronization was so smooth it almost sounded like a compliment. Dinner was an elaborate affair, 7 courses, each more pretentious than the last. I sat between Mom and an elderly aunt who kept asking loudly if I was managing okay in a tone that suggested she already knew I wasn't. Across the table, Adrian ate with perfect etiquette, his manners impeccable despite our circumstances. I watched him navigate the ridiculous array of silverware without hesitation, engage in polite conversation when addressed, maintain his dignity even as the unspoken judgment pressed down like atmospheric pressure. Halfway through the 4th course, some kind of foam that tasted like expensive nothing, Bella clinked her glass. "Everyone, Liam and I have an announcement." She was glowing, radiant with self-satisfaction. "We're expecting. You're going to be grandparents." The room erupted in congratulations. Mom actually cried. Dad ordered champagne. I watched the celebration with detached interest, like viewing a play from the back row. "Jane, aren't you happy for your sister?" Mom's voice cut through the noise, sharp with expectation. Of course. Congratulations, Bella. Bella leaned across the table, her expression sympathetic in a way that didn't reach her eyes. Don't worry, Jane. I'm sure you and Adrian will have children too. Eventually. When you're more stable. I felt Adrian stiffen beside me. Maybe, I said mildly. Or maybe not. We'll see. The conversation moved on, but I noticed Adrian had stopped eating, his fork resting precisely at the 4 o'clock position on his plate. After dinner, Liam offered Adrian a cigar on the terrace. I started to follow, but Bella caught my arm. Let them talk business. Come, I'll show you the nursery we're planning. The nursery was actually 3 rooms being converted: bedroom, playroom, and dedicated storage for baby items. Bella described her vision with the enthusiasm of someone who'd never been denied anything. Of course, we're hiring a full-time nanny. And Mom will help. She's already talking about moving into the guest house so she can be nearby. Bella touched my arm, her fingers cool. You know, Jane, it's not too late. Too late for what? To rethink things. Your marriage. She lowered her voice conspiratorially. Adrian seems nice enough, but let's be realistic. You're living in poverty. Don't you want more? I looked at her, my younger sister, who'd always gotten first choice, who'd been taught that the world existed to please her. I have enough, Bella. But you could have everything. She gestured around the opulent room. Mom and Dad would understand if you wanted a divorce. You could meet someone else. Someone successful. I'm not interested in divorcing Adrian. She blinked, genuinely confused. Why not? You barely know him. It's not like you're in love. The question stopped me. Was I in love with Adrian? I examined the feeling carefully. What I felt wasn't the passionate romance from novels, no racing heartbeat, no consuming desire. But there was something. A quiet appreciation for his dignity under pressure. A comfort in his presence. A growing curiosity about the person behind those careful walls. No, I said honestly. I'm not in love with him. But I like being married to him. That makes no sense, Jane. It makes sense to me. Bella shook her head, pitying. You've always been so strange. Settling for so little when you could have more. Back in the living room, I found Adrian standing alone by the window, staring out at the manicured gardens. His posture was rigid, controlled. Ready to go? I asked. He turned, and I saw something new in his eyes, not shame, but a quiet, burning determination. Yes. Let's go home. In the taxi, he was silent for a long time. The city light streaked past the windows, turning his profile into a study of shadows and light. Liam offered me a job, he said finally. Oh? VP of Operations at one of his subsidiary companies. 6-figure salary. Corner office. His voice was flat, emotionless. He wanted me to know what I gave up when Sterling Group collapsed. Wanted me to understand what Bella got, and what you settled for. That was cruel of him. He also said. Adrian paused, his throat working. He said if I really cared about you, I'd step aside. Let you find someone who could give you the life you deserved. I turned to look at him fully. In the intermittent streetlight, his expression was raw, unguarded. What did you tell him? I told him I'd think about it. He met my eyes. Because maybe he's right, Jane. You married me out of, what? Indifference? Obligation? You deserve someone who can give you more than a 6th-floor walk-up and instant coffee. The taxi stopped at a red light. In the sudden stillness, I could hear my own heartbeat. Adrian, I said carefully. Has it occurred to you that I might not want more? That what we have might be exactly enough? How can it be enough? I can't even afford to take you to dinner. I don't need dinner at expensive restaurants. I need I paused, surprised by my own certainty. I need someone who sleeps on the sofa because he wants me to be comfortable. Someone who gives me his last $3,000. Someone who washes dishes without being asked. That's enough. That's more than enough. He stared at me, something cracking in his carefully maintained composure. You really mean that, he said, not quite a question. I really do. The light turned green. The taxi moved forward. And in the back seat, something between us shifted, like tectonic plates finding a new alignment. The next 3 months passed in a curious acceleration. Adrian threw himself into work with renewed intensity, taking every extra shift, every difficult delivery. I stopped questioning why he came home later each night, why he sometimes smelled of expensive cologne instead of takeout food, why he made cryptic phone calls in the stairwell. I had my own routine now. Work, grocery shopping at the discount market, cooking simple dinners, reading library books while waiting for Adrian to come home. It was a small life, but it felt like mine in a way nothing ever had before. Then one evening, Adrian came home earlier than usual, carrying a garment bag. Get dressed, he said, his eyes bright with something I couldn't name. We're going out. Out where? You'll see. Please, Jane. Trust me. The dress in the garment bag was simple but beautiful, deep blue silk that caught the light. Not designer, but quality. It fit perfectly. How did you know my size? I asked, emerging from the bedroom. Adrian's expression when he saw me was worth every awkward blind date I'd ever endured. You're beautiful, he said, voice rough. You didn't answer my question. I pay attention. He offered his arm. Shall we? The taxi took us to the business district, stopping in front of a sleek high-rise. Adrian led me through the marble lobby to a private elevator. We rose in silence, his hand warm on the small of my back. The elevator opened onto a rooftop restaurant I'd only seen in magazines. City lights spread out in every direction like a carpet of stars. Adrian, we can't afford. Tonight, we can. He pulled out my chair. Please, Jane. Let me do this. Dinner was exquisite, each course a small work of art. But I barely tasted the food, too aware of Adrian across from me, the way candlelight played across his features, the intensity in his gaze, the nervous energy barely contained beneath his calm exterior. Over dessert, he finally spoke. I need to tell you something. Several things, actually. He took a breath. Sterling Group isn't bankrupt anymore. It hasn't been for 2 months. I set down my fork carefully. What? The bankruptcy was strategic. My father and I planned it years ago, a way to flush out the board members who were embezzling, to restructure debt, to test who our real allies were. His words came faster now, like water breaking through a dam. It worked better than we hoped. We've not only recovered but expanded. Sterling Group is now worth triple what it was before. The restaurant seemed to tilt slightly. So when we married, I was already planning the comeback. The delivery job was partly cover, partly networking. I met half my new investors while delivering their lunch. He leaned forward, urgent. But Jane, you need to understand. When we married, I thought you knew. I thought your family married you to me because they saw the long game, because they believed in Sterling's future. They didn't, I said quietly. They really thought you were bankrupt. They gave me to you because they thought you were worthless. Pain flashed across his face. I realized that. Those first few weeks, watching you in that tiny apartment, never complaining, never asking for more. I realized you genuinely didn't know. You married me thinking I had nothing. You stayed with me expecting nothing. So why didn't you tell me? Because. He ran a hand through his hair, disheveling the careful styling. Because for the first time in my life, someone wanted me for myself. Not for Sterling money or Sterling connections. Just me. The man who burned toast and slept on sofas. I was selfish. I wanted to keep that feeling a little longer. I absorbed this slowly, turning it over in my mind like that unusual stone. And now? Now I'm telling you because I love you. The words hung between us, simple and devastating. I love your calm acceptance, your quiet strength, the way you make a sixth-floor walk-up feel like home. I love that you never asked me to be more than I was. But I want to give you more anyway. Not because you need it, but because you deserve it. The city glittered around us, indifferent to this small human moment. I'm still me, I said finally. Whether you're bankrupt or a billionaire. That doesn't change. I know. That's why I love you. He reached across the table, taking my hand. But I need to know, Jane. Do you love me? Or am I just acceptable? Good enough? I looked at our joined hands, his calloused from weeks of delivery work despite his wealth, mine pale against his tan. Did I love him? I don't know if what I feel is love, I said honestly. I've never been in love before. I don't have a reference point. But I know I miss you when you're gone. I know I save up small observations during the day to tell you at night. I know the apartment feels wrong when you're not in it. If that's love, then yes. If it's something else, then I have that instead, and it feels like enough. His laugh was half sob. Jane Sterling, you are the most ordinary person I've ever met. Is that a compliment? It's everything. He stood, moving to my side of the table, and kissed me for the first time since our wedding, a kiss that tasted of chocolate dessert and new beginnings and quiet promises. When we finally pulled apart, I asked, so what happens now? Now, he said, we go home. To our sixth-floor walk-up. And tomorrow, if you want, I can show you the penthouse I bought. But we don't have to live there. We can live wherever you're comfortable. Can we afford both? Jane, we can afford anything you want. I considered this. Let's keep the apartment. It's ours. Where we started. His smile was sunrise breaking over mountains. Whatever you want. The news broke on a Tuesday morning. Sterling Group announces triumphant return, heir Adrian Sterling orchestrates brilliant corporate resurrection. My phone started ringing before I'd finished my coffee. Mom. Dad. Bella. My brother. Distant relatives I barely remembered. All suddenly very concerned about my well-being. I ignored them all. At noon, Bella showed up at the apartment, slightly breathless from the sixth-floor climb. She'd clearly never visited before, her designer heels were completely impractical for the stairs. Jane. Why aren't you answering your phone? She pushed past me into the apartment, her eyes sweeping the small space with new assessment. Is it true? Is Adrian really the Sterling heir? The one all over the news? Yes. And you knew? For about a week now. She stared at me, a complicated series of emotions playing across her face, disbelief, anger, envy, calculation. You knew for a week and didn't tell anyone? It wasn't my news to tell. Jane, do you understand what this means? She gripped my arms, her manicured nails digging in slightly. You're married to one of the richest men in the city. The Sterling fortune. This changes everything. Does it? I gently removed her hands. I'm still me. Adrian's still Adrian. But the money was never why I married him. Oh, don't be ridiculous. She paced the small living room, agitated. No one marries for love anymore. Not in our family. You married him because Mom and Dad said to. You lucked into a fortune. The least you could do is be honest about it. I am being honest, Bella. The money doesn't matter to me. She laughed, sharp and bitter. Of course it matters. It matters to everyone. Do you know how stupid I feel? I chose Liam over Adrian. I thought I was getting the better deal. And now you have everything I should have had. The truth of it hung in the air, raw and ugly. You could have chosen Adrian, I said quietly. You had first pick. You chose Liam because his family had more money. That was your decision. Because I thought Sterling was finished. If I'd known, she stopped, breathing hard. Mom and Dad are furious. They gave you the bankruptcy heir because they thought he was worthless. They gave me to Liam to secure a good match. But you got the real prize. I didn't know either, Bella. But you still win. Her voice rose, cracking. You always just accept things, never fight for anything, and somehow you end up winning. It's not fair. I looked at my sister, beautiful, pampered, perpetually dissatisfied, and felt something like pity. I'm not trying to win anything, I said. I never was. She left shortly after, her heels clicking angrily down the stairs. That evening, Adrian came home with flowers, real ones, not the gas station carnations he'd occasionally brought before. Roses in deep red, the color of expensive wine. We need to talk, he said, and my stomach dropped despite myself. We sat on the sofa, the same one he'd slept on those first weeks. He turned to face me, taking both my hands in his. Jane, I've been thinking about what you said. About keeping this apartment, about not changing everything just because we can. Okay. And I agree with you. But I also think we need to make some changes. Not because of the money, but because we deserve to build a life together. A real life, not just existing. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Not the ring box from our wedding, but something new. I know we're already married. But we did it backwards. We had the wedding before the romance, the commitment before the love. So I'm asking you now, properly. He opened the box, revealing a simple platinum band with a single diamond, elegant, understated, perfect. Jane, knowing everything you know now, knowing who I am and what I have, will you still marry me? Will you choose me, not because your parents arranged it, not because you don't care one way or another, but because you want to? My chest felt tight, full of something warm and unfamiliar. That's the same question, I pointed out. We're already married. Then let me rephrase. Jane Sterling, will you stay married to me? Will you let me love you, and will you love me back, in whatever way feels right to you? I looked at him, this man who'd maintained his dignity in poverty, who'd slept on a sofa to make me comfortable, who'd given me everything when he had nothing, and asked for nothing when he had everything. Yes, I said. I'll stay married to you. He slid the ring onto my finger, beside the simple silver band from our wedding. I didn't take the old one off. They looked right together, the journey and the destination, the beginning and the continuation. There's something else, Adrian said. A dinner party this weekend. At the Sterling estate. Press, investors, family. He paused. Your family will be there. All of them. I wanted to give you a choice. We can go together, face them as a united front. Or I can go alone and make excuses for you. Whatever you're comfortable with. I thought about Bella's visit, about Mom and Dad's sudden interest, about the years of being given the smallest room and the leftover choices. We'll go together, I said. But on our terms. The Sterling family estate made the Cole mansion look modest. Set on 50 acres outside the city, the main house was a masterpiece of classical architecture, all soaring columns and glittering windows. Valets parked cars along the circular drive. String quartets played on the terrace. It was everything I'd never wanted. Adrian must have sensed my hesitation. We don't live here, he said quietly as our car pulled up. This is my father's house. Our home is wherever you want it to be. The 6th floor walk up? If that's what you want. I squeezed his hand. Let's see how tonight goes first. The grand foyer was packed with people in evening wear. I wore another dress Adrian had chosen, this one midnight blue with subtle beading that caught the light. Simple compared to most of the gowns around me, but I felt comfortable, which was worth more than fashion. Adrian's father, Richard Sterling, greeted us near the main staircase. He was an older version of Adrian, same sharp features, same intelligent eyes, but weathered by decades of corporate warfare. So this is the famous Jane, he said, taking my hand. The woman who married my son when she thought he was broke. Yes, sir. Smart woman. You saw what others missed. Actually, I didn't see anything. I just didn't mind what I did see. He laughed, a booming sound. Brutally honest. I like that. Adrian, you chose well. Across the room, I spotted my family. Mom and Dad looked uncomfortable despite their expensive clothes, clearly intimidated by the sheer scale of Sterling wealth. Bella stood with Liam, her hand possessively on his arm, her eyes following me with barely concealed resentment. Adrian followed my gaze. Ready? As I'll ever be. We approached together. Mom's face went through several expressions: surprise, calculation, forced warmth. Jane. Darling. And Adrian. What a wonderful party. She air-kissed us both, her perfume overwhelming. We had no idea the Sterling estate was so impressive. Yes, well, Dad prefers to keep things private, Adrian said smoothly. Dad shook Adrian's hand with the enthusiasm of someone who'd just realized they'd bet on the wrong horse. Always knew you had potential, Adrian. Always said so, didn't I, honey? Mom nodded vigorously, rewriting history in real time. Bella was silent, her expression frozen in a mask of politeness. Liam, to his credit, seemed genuinely pleased for us. Congratulations on the comeback, he said to Adrian. Brilliant strategy. I should have seen it coming. No hard feelings about the job offer? Adrian asked mildly. Water under the bridge. Although. Liam glanced at me. I admit I underestimated both of you. You make quite a team. Richard Sterling chose that moment to clink his glass, calling for attention. The room quieted. Thank you all for coming tonight to celebrate Sterling Group's resurgence, he began. This success wouldn't have been possible without many people, but I want to particularly acknowledge my son, Adrian. His strategic thinking and unwavering dedication turned a calculated risk into a triumph. Applause filled the room. Adrian acknowledged it with a modest nod. But I also want to acknowledge someone else, Richard continued. My daughter-in-law, Jane Sterling. While the business world watched Adrian's every move, Jane did something far more remarkable. She married him when he appeared to have nothing, expected nothing, and asked for nothing. She saw the man, not the fortune. In a world obsessed with appearances and acquisitions, her quiet integrity is worth more than any corporate deal. All eyes turned to me. I felt my face heat, uncomfortable with the attention. To Jane, Richard raised his glass. For reminding us what really matters. To Jane, the room echoed. I caught Bella's expression in that moment, a complicated mix of emotions I couldn't fully parse. Beside her, Mom looked like she'd bitten into something sour. After the toast, Mom pulled me aside. Jane, about your dowry, she began, her voice low and urgent. We were thinking, now that your circumstances have changed, perhaps we should have given you more. It wasn't fair, really, the difference between what Bella got and what you got. It's fine, Mom. But we could make it up to you. Transfer some funds, help you establish yourself. I don't need your money, Mom. Her face tightened. Well, there's no need to be proud about it. We're family. What's ours is yours. Is it? I asked quietly. Because I don't remember it working that way before. She had the grace to look ashamed, though it passed quickly. We did what we thought was best at the time. Bella needed. Bella got what she wanted. I got what I needed. It worked out fine. I excused myself and found Adrian on the terrace, looking out over the manicured gardens. The party continued inside, a glittering spectacle of wealth and ambition. Overwhelmed, he asked. A little. I joined him at the railing. Your father is very kind. He likes you. Says you're good for me. Adrian turned to face me. Are you? Good for me? I don't know. Am I? You make me want to be better. Not richer or more successful. Just better. Kinder. More present. That's worth everything. The evening air was cool, carrying the scent of roses from the garden below. Inside, the party reached new heights of celebration. But out here, it was just us, two people who'd started with nothing and found everything. Adrian, I said. I think I might love you. He smiled, soft and genuine. Only might? I'm still figuring out what love feels like. But if it's this, feeling like I'm home when you're near, wanting your happiness as much as my own, trusting you with the small, boring parts of my life, then yes. I love you. That's exactly what love is, Jane. He pulled me close, his arms warm around me. That's exactly what it is. We kept the 6th floor walk up. We also bought the penthouse. And a house near the Sterling estate. We moved between them as the mood struck, but the apartment remained our favorite, proof that we could be happy with everything or nothing. Bella had her baby, a daughter she named Charlotte. At the hospital, holding her tiny niece, I felt a surge of unexpected emotion, not envy, but protectiveness. This child would be loved, I determined. Even if I had to teach her myself that she didn't need to be first to be worthy. Mom and Dad adjusted to our new status with predictable awkwardness, forever trying to make up for past slights that I'd genuinely never minded. I let them fuss, understanding that their guilt was theirs to carry, not mine to absolve. Adrian and I learned each other slowly, building romance on a foundation of friendship and respect. We had our first real fight, about paint colors, of all things. We learned to compromise. We learned to laugh at ourselves. We learned that love wasn't always dramatic declarations and grand gestures. Sometimes it was just washing dishes together or falling asleep on the sofa mid-movie. One evening, back in our apartment, Adrian found me on the balcony watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of amber and rose. Happy? He asked, wrapping his arms around me from behind. I leaned back into his warmth, considering the question properly. Was I happy? Yes, I said, surprised by the certainty in my voice. I actually am. Good. He kissed the top of my head. That's all I wanted. Your happiness. And what about your happiness? You're my happiness, Jane. Don't you know that by now? The city stretched out before us, millions of lives intersecting and diverging, each one seeking their own version of contentment. I'd never wanted much from life, never fought for the best room or the biggest dowry or the richest husband. I'd simply accepted what came and made peace with it. But somewhere along the way, acceptance had transformed into appreciation. And appreciation into love. Not the desperate, consuming kind. The quiet, sustaining kind. The kind that made ordinary days extraordinary simply because they were shared. I love you, I said, and this time there was no hesitation, no qualification. I love you too, Adrian replied. My beautiful, strange, perfect wife. The sun dipped below the horizon. The city lights began to sparkle like scattered diamonds. And in our small apartment on the 6th floor, with no elevator and thin walls and a view of other people's windows, we were exactly where we wanted to be. Together. Home. Perfect.